Let's talk more about these numbers now. Martin Smith, Portfolio Manager at eNCA Capital, joins me. Martin, let's start off with the overall markets. From about Wednesday onwards, the JSE really on a strong footing, really putting aside all the local chaos or the aftermath of the chaos.
Absolutely, and you made the point a little earlier that we really followed suit with what was happening in global markets. Global markets obviously experienced quite a strong sell-off on Monday as fears around a Delta variant were kind of there and thereabouts, and they bounced back really strongly, and our market has done so too. So lots of global tailwinds, lots of risk on this week, and again, I think the seesaw of risk on risk continues, but markets continue to grind higher. So I think the key message is to stay invested.
Let's talk more now about company news. Trading statements out today, quite a number of them. Let's start with Pepkor. Now, they are reporting a strong sales growth. Nothing really about the impact that they would have felt because of the 9% of stores that were damaged during last week's violent unrest. What did you make of their trading update?
I thought it was a very good trading update. It was very well received by the market. They had good market gains that took place. It's a very good business. They operate in a certain segment of the market, and they do it very well. So, like I said, overall strong set of numbers, well received by the markets. Yes, they had 9 to 10% of their stores that were impacted, and they might have to close for a couple of months. But it's probably a 1 to 2% event. So overall, on a good footing. I think there's still a little bit of an overhang with Steinhoff on the share. It's still one of the most shorted shares in South Africa at the moment, but operationally doing very well.
Let's talk about Vodacom now. I found this rather interesting. So they do say that they saw some prepaid growth, but they are seeing that consumers are increasingly under pressure. So we did see that sales in that regard came under a little bit pressure just because of what the consumer is going through. Really contrasted to the story we were telling a little bit earlier about people working from home and really needing data and the like.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, and I think the way to look at telcos is to actually look at service revenue growth, because that's not handsets or things like that, and that's where the real margin is for these business. So if you look at their services revenue, it was up about 2.2%. If you strip out currency, up about 7.8%. They had headwinds in their African businesses, so not the greatest set of numbers in my opinion. I think it was okay, maybe slightly disappointing. But I think this is a very common theme with this business over the years. I think they seem to kind of trade sideways from an earnings growth perspective. So not one that I'm incredibly excited about. I think I prefer the value unlock stories that you have with something like an MTN. Yeah, that's more kind of where I'd be focusing from a telco perspective.
I wonder if you're excited about Distal, Martin. I mean, they've had blows coming from all angles. They've had the looting recently, the 4th alcohol sales ban, and then SAB losing its court case against a government earlier in terms of lifting the alcohol sales ban. They're also indicating that there's no doubt that there's going to be continued pressure on the liquor industry.
Yeah, you make a lot of good points there, and I think there's a lot of moving parts for this business. I thought the numbers they put forward were operationally quite good. If you look at it versus FY19, which is a little bit more comparable because you don't have that base of strict lockdown, it's up about 15%. But the big story with Distal at the moment is the corporate action from Heineken, and they're still in talks there about a buyout from Heineken. So I think that's actually the real story with Distal at the moment, not really the kind of number side of things, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on with regards to the share at the moment.
Martin, as always, thank you for your time this Friday evening. Martin Smith, Portfolio Manager at eNCA Capital, giving us a wrap of the market week that was.